Hey, how are you? I'm great. What a weird way to start a video. Welcome to my room. Welcome to my Preacher Shine. Welcome to my kittens in the background. I am here to talk about Preacher, obviously. Some people, as in two people, told me they would be interested hearing my thoughts on the episode, aka the episode 1 of season 3 of Preacher. And I'm here to deliver. I really want to talk about this show. I love this show. I've been here since season 1. I've read all of the comics, loved all the comics, love all the actors. Joe was amazing in Misfits, and Ruth and Dominic in their little vague movies have also been amazing. But yeah, I love this show to bits, and I am here to talk about it. Just a forewarning, I am a Jesse Tulip fan, aka I love them as a couple till the end of the world. I love them in the comics, I love them in the show. I also noticed that a lot of people don't like Jesse right now, and they don't think Tulip should be with him in a way. Like he doesn't deserve her, which I also understand because he's been a jerk. But their relationship is so complex, and the way they show their love towards each other is so interesting to me and so intriguing to me. And yeah, but that's not saying that I hate Cassidy and Tulip. I love Cassidy. He's my favorite little rat boy. And I love the way that Joe and Ruth have explained their relationship. I would highly suggest looking up these interviews or any interviews, because the way these people talk about their characters is so amazing. You can tell how much they love them, and they're great. But I love them in the sense that Tulip is, expressing this motherly love and care towards Cassidy and truly valuing him as a friend, and Cassidy's just a miserable puppy in love. I love it. Anyway, so season 3, episode 1. Oh my god. This was it could have been my favorite season premiere, but season 2 will always be my favorite because, come on Eileen, I went to New York City, I saw the premiere 2 days before it premiered, and I almost met Ruth Negga. I didn't. One day I will, because I love her, and she inspires me. But this episode meant a lot to me because Angelville. Angelville is my favorite concept in the comics. I always wished so much to see more of Angelville, and I always wished to see more of all of the characters and learn more about them than we already knew in the comics. Always felt it was too short. But this episode, it showed me that this season is just gonna be fan service. I can't wait to learn so much about these guys. It kicks right into Angelville too. Starts out with this happy tour outside of Angelville, and I think they said Thomas Jefferson discovered Angelville. I'm sorry, my memory is, but it's just very disarming in a way because Angelville looks so clean and cool, something you'd expect to see out of a historical tourist landmark. And then on the inside is where Grandma does her business. It's almost like a witch doctor's office. People are trying to get help for libido and their sobriety. And then we meet Christina Custer, and I love Christina Custer so much. Oh my god. The woman who played her, the actress, was so good. She did such a good job at showing how Christina was complying with Grandma, but very conflicted on the inside. And you could tell that she was doing this only to protect her son and her husband, aka John Custer and Jesse Custer. We also met Jody and TC, who are honestly so conflicting for me because they're horrible human beings, but I still like them. I don't know. The show, obviously, this episode also made it very hard to hate them because they're so funny and interesting and weird in a charming sense. But yeah, we meet them, we meet Grandma. Whew, Grandma scares me so much. I saw the pics of Betty as Grandma, and I didn't know at first how I felt, because she's scary in the comics, bald and just wrinkly and saggy, but she is amazing. The way she talks and enunciates and just everything about her scares me so much. But yeah, it started very 0 to 100 in typical Preacher fashion, with Christina trying to swallow the picture of Jesse and Grandma finding out about Jesse. And so I'm wondering if each episode we're going to find out more and more about this story and about how Jesse comes to be in this casket. And I am so ready. I am so ready for all of this. There was also a thing that was a bit interesting about this introduction. Like, we saw, like, Grandma was sitting there and she could hear where Christina was. Like, she heard her on the bus. So I'm wondering if there was a connection of some sorts there. I'll get to that a little more. But then we have the switch to Jesse coming to Angelville. And I feel like a lot of people don't realize how huge this is, that Jesse would bring Tulip here. I mean, it's obvious that he loves her so much and he's not doing the best job at showing her that, but Angelville is his living hell. Angelville is the scariest situation to happen in his life, and it's what has made him Jesse Custer. It's why he is so horrible at expressing some emotions, and how he has come to hold all of this guilt on his shoulders, and made that made him become a preacher. And it makes him, this is what made him, you know, the scars on his back, the tattoo on his back. And for him to bring Tulip here, it just shows you how much he really does love her and can't live without her. And things go oh my god, I was not expecting that to come out from Cassidy. The confession that he slept with Tulip was that was probably the most shocking moment for me, because I wasn't sure that would ever come out. And this is all new territory for people who've read the comics, because if you didn't read the comics, Cassidy isn't in Angelville in the comics. Before Angelville, he splits apart from Tulip and Jesse, and Tulip is alive in Angelville when she first gets there. It is actually Jody who shoots her, and that's how this starts. So we're kind of off the tracks of the comics, but oh my god, Cassidy really does not like Jesse. And by telling Jesse that, my mind was blown. And in a sense, I feel that Jesse won't hold this against Tulip in a way, because I feel like he knows he's been too hard on her about a lot of things. But at the same time, I think this is going to be something that is not going to keep him and Cassidy on good terms for a while. I don't think their friendship is, I don't think they're best mates anymore. So it was a lot. And then we meet Grandma again, and I was always interested, I'm not sure, I might be wrong, in the comics I always felt like it was a little enunciated, like the creak of Grandma's like wheelchair, but now they have like the whirring motorized wheelchair, which I love, and she is a spooky ooky woman, and Cassidy calling her unattractive. I love it. I love Cassidy. He is like literally, but yeah, we kind of get thrown into things with Jesse begging her, pretty much telling him he'll do anything, which, I mean, we saw him in the coffin. This is not going to be good. And then they make a sort of like, he makes a blood oath with her, and this is where I was going earlier with Christina Custer. I'm wondering if it's the same thing, maybe? Like, Christina and Grandma did this, and that means that she's linked to Grandma. Grandma will always know where she is, so I'm wondering if that's what Jesse has done. He's just completely given himself to her. And boy oh boy, it goes from there. We get thrown into this like situation where like Cassidy and Jesse go on a scavenger hunt in a way to help Tulip. Cassidy needs to go get her favorite things. I love that scene. Joni Mitchell. Cassidy is precious. He's precious in his own way. But yeah, it was very, there's a lot of tension between Jesse and Cassidy, and I don't think this is gonna go away. But yeah, they split off, and then we see Jesse meet Jody after a long time. And this relationship is so interesting, because Jody is this scary, horrible man who we literally see him force Jesse to fight him. And it's almost like, okay, I haven't seen you for so long. Wow, you look like your mom. Let's fight. Let's see how you're doing. And that really just summed it up so well between them. It's a very strange father-son dynamic. Jesse does not love Jody by any means, but Jody's kind of raised him into this man who knows how to fight, and he knows how to kick butt. I shouldn't swear, right? That's a YouTube thing? I don't know. But yeah, like, him lifting the truck over Jesse, oh my goodness, and then, like, being like, oh, it's because you're girls, whatever. It was very, I love their fight scenes on Preacher, and this was a good fight scene in my opinion, because it just really throws you right into the like dynamic between Jody and Jesse. And I have a feeling that Jody and Tulip are gonna get along in a really weird way. But I don't know, because we saw a Confederate flag in Angelville, so that I'm guessing that racism is going to come into play eventually. But yeah, that was a thing that I loved. I also love TC and Cassidy's weird like Cassidy's like just so angry and not putting up with anyone at this point because he's so scared for Tulip, but TC literally has like this huge man crush on Cassidy, and I love it. TC's probably one of the grossest characters in the comics, and he will probably be a very gross character in the show. And he kind of was getting there with comparing Tulip's skin to hotel sheets. But yeah, while those two things are going on, Tulip's with Grandma. Yikes. And I don't know. I really don't... Grandma seems to want to get Tulip far away from her. I felt this from the scene with her and Cassidy and the Peppers. I have a really bad feeling about that spell that she was telling Cassidy about. In a way, I felt like she was putting that little seed into his head to use later on. I don't know how later on, but, you know, she's telling him, like, you can ask, and I will give you this spell that could make anyone become, like, enamored with you and do anything. And in a way, I don't know, it felt like she wants Tulip away, because she knows if Tulip is enough that Jesse came back, she's gonna be a problem for her. And I don't know if the racism comes into play as well. Obviously, they're on a plantation that hangs the Confederate flag, so that's definitely a thing. But I really don't know what that's gonna play out at like, and I have a really bad feeling about that. A really bad feeling. But yeah, we then see, oh my god, we see Tulip's purgatory. I'm not going in order here, just so you know, I'm not going in order, I'm just going with my head. But Tulip's purgatory was probably my favorite scene of the whole, like, premiere, because it's so interesting in that, like, whoever wrote that scene was such... Oh, purgatory is literally like a audience on set TV show with, like, the oohs and the laughter and, like, the ooh, and it was so, like, it was portrayed in such a cheery light, but at the same time it was so heartbreaking. And I've always been interested in Tulip's backstory. Like, we've known from season 1 that her mom was a sex worker, and Tulip obviously doesn't have any good feelings about her mother because of the way she talked about her. And we also know that Tulip's kind of got this feeling, like, her family, the O'Hare family, are nothing but trouble. So, like, this whole scene was so beautiful. Like, Tulip's just sitting there watching TV, and her mom's in the other room moaning with it. Like, that's... I mean, we don't know how much of this was, like, actually factual. It might have been kind of different because it's a weird purgatory scenario, but, like, Tulip is just this little girl who is sitting there while her mother is literally having sex in the next room. And then we meet her dad. I didn't even know if Tulip had a dad. I figured it might be one of those things like, oh, it was one of her mom's random customers. But she has a dad. And he comes in and he's a convict. He comes home and he's like, oh, Tulip, hey girl, I love you, woo. And he's just so good to her, and like saying like, okay, I'll be back, but I'll get you some Necco wafers, woo. And like poor Tulip is like, yay. And it gets so twisted. It was heartbreaking. Like, we see him come back and he doesn't have it for her. Like, he doesn't have her Necco wafers. Someone get this girl Necco wafers. But he, like, involves her in a shootout. And, like, before the shootout, obviously her mom comes out, and her mom, it was a very interesting scene because, like, of the shadows and darkness coming out of the door her mother came from, and, like, the audience is, like, ooh, like, angry. And her mom is just this horrible woman who literally tells this child that, like, O'Hares are worthless, your dad's worthless, so are you. And it really explains why Tulip is outwardly so confident in herself, but, like, focusing on her, you can tell she has a lot of deep-rooted insecurities. Like we saw in season 1, all she wanted that whole season was just to see Jesse care about her. And so I think growing up this way, it's just so sad. And we then see her dad involve her in a police shootout where he's killed. I don't know how factual that was. I wouldn't be surprised. It was a cool dynamic because in the comics, Tulip's dad teaches her how to shoot and handle guns. But it's very sad at the same time that this child's being forced to, you know, help her dad. She thinks she's doing the right thing by protecting him and handling guns. And to see adult Tulip in this whole scenario is so sad because, like, she's almost a child herself in this scenario. Like, we see the way she, like, kind of tears up around her father, and I think she really cared about her father and loved him, and then she holds this hostility towards her mother, and she's just so confused, and it's so sad, and I have so many feelings about it. But moving on, we see Jesse and Jody deal with things, get that, whatever it was called, transpoil, I think it was called, maybe? I don't know what it is, but it's a cool scene because Jody goes in and literally beats up like 20 men, and they get the stuff, and that's the scene I was talking about earlier. That's when that happened. We have, like, it's a very weird dynamic from the introduction of, you know, Jody hugging Jesse and then being like, go, let's fight. But I was also very interested before when Jesse mentioned the Rodriguez brothers. Like, they've talked about them before, Jesse and Tulip working with them, so I'm wondering if we're going to see them this season. That would be pretty cool. And on the flip side, Grandma is, like, Grandma's doing some stuff. Like, she's putting Tulip's foot skin, toenails, fingernails into this, like, little cup, and she eats it. And this is what we saw, like, earlier in the episode. I know, timelines, ugh, who needs them, right? I'm just going with my brain. But it's very gross and alarming, and I just still can't get over Grandma. Like, there are so many things about her that, like, she's just very, you can tell she knows her place of power from the moment she's like, I'm hungry, when Jesse's there, like, almost like just on his knees begging her for help. But we see the resurrection ritual start, and it's very cool. That whole sequence is very cool, where Tulip, you know, she's hearing this Joni Mitchell song, and she picks up the phone, and it's Jesse, like, begging her to come back because he can't blow up safes and rob safes without her. And it's just it's not, the comics I felt were way, like, Tulip's comeback in Angelville is so good in the comics, but this one was very, like, you can't make it super epic when she's only been dead for literally, like, an episode. But her return was very cool because it brought up God. It was, like, it was such a strange scene because it was really, actually really cute, like, and really sweet and cool, and just everything, like, the faint music, the, like, misty Angelville road, and she's bloody in her dress and stuff. But, like, God tells her, you know, that, like, he needs her, and that they have to get those sons of bitches, which is what her dad tells her in a way. And I don't know which ones he's talking about, but it's a very interesting scene because Tulip's just like, oh no shit, in a very Tulip fashion. And it's also cool because Jesse has wanted to meet God and has believed he's, like, a God's, like, prophet this entire time. The Grail thinks he's that. And then Tulip just meets God like that, like, hey, sup God, how you doing? It was very, it's gonna be touched on more in the season for sure, but it was a little vague, so I'm very curious what's gonna happen. But Tulip coming back then was just a very sweet scene, like, Jesse just, like, flopping on her, and Cassidy just, like, Cassidy's face and, like, her little smile was really cute, but in a way, like, her face, you could see it kind of, like, the smile die, I think. I don't know if she was just remembering everything that led to this point or what, but it was just a lot, and it was really cute. And the scene that followed eventually with, it was literally like a little puppy protecting his owner, like Cassidy sleeping on top of the mattress and covers while Tulip's underneath them snoozing, and Jesse just kind of looking at them like, that look, he was looking more at Cassidy, I think, but I think that look is going to imply a lot about how he's going to take this confession Cassidy has given him. It's not gonna be a fun, easy season like last season. Like, this season's gonna be dark, and it's gonna be... I don't know. I don't know how these relationships are gonna be. I think they're gonna be in a very hard place because Angelville is not a cakewalk. And I'm so happy about this episode. It was so good. As a comic fan, I was so happy. They're doing so well with, like, having Cassidy incorporated in Angelville. The actors for Jodie, TC, and Grandma are amazing. Betty Buckley, whew. Like, everything about Grandma is so cool and bewitching, and I'm just super excited to see how this goes. And that's my rant. That's how I feel about the episode. I might have forgotten some scenes. I'm sorry. I'm going to make this more organized next time, probably. But I just wanted to get this out quickly because I was so excited. And I hope it's enjoyable for the two of you watching to hear what I think. I hope you all have a great day. And I would give that a 10 out of 10 shites on the shite meter. Good episode. Great episode. See ya.